we go. Hi, everybody. This is Zoph. You are watching Simply SCAdian, No Title Required, a show that is dedicated to talking with and learning more about the people in the SCA who only have maybe at the most a grant level award. No peers allowed, although we have broken that rule a couple times, especially for our season ending panels. But we really love to focus on regular folk in the SCA and all they have to offer. We only have two more shows before the end of our season, and then we're going to be looking for more guests starting in September. So hit us up if you're interested. Go to our Facebook page and send us a message. I'm going to hand everything over to my fabulous, incredible, talented, beautiful co-host, Jalecia. Thank you, Jalecia, for joining me today.
Oh, always a pleasure. I'm always happy to fill in. Thank you, Zoph.
All right, I'm going to let you take it away while I go do geek girl stuff.
Okay. Today our guest is Francoise Katze. She's
Mhm.
been in the SCA since 1982 in four different groups in three different states. She was introduced to the SCA by her future queen, who happened to be in her theater class. The garb fascinated her, and then the various activities kept her coming back. Her first event was in Riven Star, and she circled back to live there in the early 2000s. Since then, she married Duke Moonwolf Stark Adderson and has
Mhm.
been on the Kingdom A&S Fair staff. Welcome, Francois.
Thank you.
Welcome. So, first question, how did you find the SCA?
I was in a theater class down in Indianapolis, and um, my I really liked doing the tech work and the costuming, the background stuff. That was my big draw. And I was in the costume shop one day, and comes a lady who started talking about the SCA, and um, she said, well, do you want to go up to Rivenstar, which is West Lafayette, Indiana, in the Middle Kingdom? And I said, sure. So I came up to the event, and I think it was Rivenstar's decennial. I can't be sure. It's been a long time ago. um, and all of the costumes and the dancing and the feast and everything, just I was hooked. And have been going to events since then, and just have you know the costumes just drew me in, and I have learned more about costumes and history just in general, and it's just fascinated me that you know not just names and places and battles and stuff like that. It's okay, how did they do things in the real world? Basically, how did they live? And that's you know kind of caught my attention even more. So I have learned so many things just by paying attention. And I think that's the best way to learn history, is just actually see it, live it, um, or try to, and ask questions. I know more about blacksmithing because Moonwolf does blacksmithing every once in a while. And just by standing out in the forge with him, it's like, oh, okay, that's how that's done. That's cool. So I learned a lot, and then that's still what keeps me coming back. Is I learn things, I meet people, I see old friends. Um, it's it's great.
Oh, that's really great. You mentioned garb. What type of garb do you specialize in?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, Pretty much whatever anybody needs.
Okay.
um, I end up sewing garb for other people more than for myself. Um, I have uh, made armor for fencing and for heavy gambazons mostly, um, coat hardies, chemises, Italian ren, just kind of whatever, someone wants a dress made. It's like, can you do it for me? Well, sure, if I got time, which I usually do, and I will gladly make it for them.
Yeah, yeah. What's the most complicated garb that you've made?
Oh gosh. I would have to say an Italian ren made with a sari,
Mm.
and I used an underlayer of linen to give it some more strength, and then cut the sari in such a fashion that all of the nice fancy designs that are in like the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet, and use that for like sleeves and trim and things like that. And that was pretty complicated for me. Is I had to kind of plan my attack, so to speak, to get the most out of the length of fabric.
Yeah, yeah.
So
How do you not become overwhelmed with requests? Because I know some people they get known as the sewer in the group, and then they get so many requests, and I know people who just kind of quit because they just got so frustrated with constant requests to sew for other people. So how do you deal with that?
um, they don't ask me over much because they oh, you're too busy. I won't ask. And yeah, I've got other things to do, or that need to be done, like housework and chores and things.
Yeah.
Um, but um, it's like maybe, I don't know, once every 6 months, 8 months, that someone will ask, hey, I can't sew. Would you mind helping me or doing this for me? Sure, sure. I generally have time for it. And I've sewn for more than just SCA. Um, there's a, I guess it's a festival. It's a reenactment that happens like 4 miles from the house. It's called Feast of the Hunter's Moon
Mm.
at Fort Wiatnan, and Wolf and I go out for 4 days and reenact late 1700s, early 1800s, somewhere in there.
Mm.
And I've had people come and ask, hey, we know you sew. You think you could do this coat for me? um, sure. You got the pattern, you got the fabric, you got like 20 buttons that I need to sew on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that it works out so that I'm not overwhelmed. Um, and I'm not sure how that happened, but that's how it happens for me.
nice. Have you always sewn, or was that something you discovered in that costuming class in college?
Oh, I've sewn since I was like 6 years old.
Mm.
My mom sewed. Her father was an upholsterer. Um, and I took to sewing like a fish in water. And I jokingly call it genetic memory. Since grandpa sewed and mom sewed, and I just, and sewing went from um, to various fiber arts, embroidery and crochet, and eventually knitting. Um, I learned at an early age to never tell the mother of six that you're bored.
Oh.
She immediately would hand me something to learn. First one was sewing. The second one was embroidery. The third one was crochet. It's like, okay, I got one of the six occupied doing this. Okay, I can now focus on the other five.
Do you still embroider in the SCA?
Yeah, yeah. Um, not as much as I used to, but every once in a while. Um, mostly it's for Wolf's garb to make it a little fancier because I want him to look good.
He is in the spotlight, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
And what is
Yeah,
that like for you being married to someone who's so famous and popular in the SCA?
I
Um,
was going to ask that too. Yeah.
it's actually it's not that bad. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not that bad. He's in the other room. Um, it's at first it was a little daunting when we were dating because here I am. I'm just this little nobody, and here he's this famous person in more areas than just the SCA, and I'm thinking, okay, how does this work? Well, you know, um, I'm just sometimes I'm a roadie, sometimes I'm um, his lady off doing whatever it is that I do, and it's just it's just another aspect of being me, I guess. Um, I don't I don't think about it. Um, and other people, there have been a couple people who weren't real sure about that. Um, they thought I was glory seeking or something, and I'm like, no, 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 no. Um, the first time I was officially introduced was after that first event in Ribbon Star, was in the kitchen of is he a sir now? Yeah, I think he's still a sir. Corwin, who became a future king, and because I was crashing at their place, and Wolf came upstairs and he was talking to them about something. Went back down to his apartment, and I didn't recognize him from the day before because he had garb on. Well, he's got street clothes on now, and the lady introduced him as Michael Lonecore. Okay. And she says, well, you know who that was, right? You just said Michael Lonecore. No, that's Duke Moonwolf. Okay. It just
Well, when did it dawn on you that he was so well known?
um much later,
Mm.
actually. Um I I was 19, I think, when I first joined the SCA. I was about 18, 19. And after a while, um, I was living in Columbus, Ohio for a little bit, and he had come to the local science fiction convention,
Ah.
and I saw his name in the program book. Oh, okay. Well, I'll go to the concert. And it's like, oh, okay. There's more than just this aspect. There's the science fiction aspect. There's you know just various aspects, and I thought, well, that's really cool. He's got other interests. He's more than just one facet of a person. And eventually got over my shyness and expressed an interest, and here we are.
How
So
long have you
you
two
made the
been
first.
married?
We've been married since 2009, and
Okay.
just
So you made the
recently
first. So you made the first move.
I tried to, yeah.
Well, obviously
um,
it worked.
yeah. I'm very much an introvert, so to say, hey, you want to go out on a date was just wow. um how do I do this? So especially, to someone as well known as him, because surely there's other women who, he'd rather go out with, or who are more interested or interesting. And so I thought, I don't have a snowball's chance. So,
But you did.
but, I wasn't going to know until I tried. So
Right, right,
Right.
right,
I
right.
tried.
So
Yeah.
I guess the question I really wanna hone in on is it hard not to be overshadowed by him?
Mm.
Not because of him, not by his actions, but by the actions of other people.
Um, at first I was concerned. I can't say I'm overshadowed. Um, because I'm not, I don't think of it that way. Um, yeah, he's well known, and they but most people by now know that I'm his wife. And they don't treat me any different than they did before,
Good.
which I really appreciate. Um, at first, there were people that I could tell were trying to curry favor through me to
Yeah.
get to him. And I'm like, I put the kibosh on that right away. If you need Wolf to know something, you tell him. Don't tell me.
Right.
Yeah. 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 I was
Because
gonna ask about that. Yeah.
because for one thing, there's no guarantee I'm going to remember to tell him, and something could get lost in the translation. So go tell him. Don't don't come to me with your problem or your question or whatever it is that you want him to resolve. You go tell him.
Right.
Mm.
And a lot of people were like, well, okay. Well, do you think he'd listen? I don't know. Go ask him.
Yeah.
I can't answer that question. Go ask him.
I love you so hard.
Yes, yes, yes.
I
Well,
think
listen,
you're awesome.
we want to concentrate on you though
Yeah.
also. What other activities do you like doing in the SCA?
Oh gosh. I fenced for a while. Um, and let's see. I help with the Kingdom Arts and Sciences Fair that
Mm.
happens every Memorial Day. Uh, I've been doing that for, oh gosh, got to be like 10 years now,
So
I
what do
Mm.
think.
you do for the ANS fair?
Um, I would work in the tally room. Um, it started out with uh, the sheets would come in, the judging sheets would come in, and you'd tally all the scores and make sure all of the tally sheets came in. If there was one missing, excuse me, go send someone out to track it down and then make sure everything was in place. We have, or I should say, the team has since moved to almost completely computer. So the tally room crew has gone from maybe 6 volunteers, maybe down to 3 or 4, which, I mean, it's progressing a lot, which is cool to see, actually. And I was officially called the tally room coordinator, which is basically make sure the box of stuff got from my basement to the fair, and pretty much help out where needed. And ever since then, or I should say since then, I've been the local group's exchequer, which is in a club sense, it's the treasurer, for those who are not in the SCA. And I'm still their treasurer. And when I go, especially down to Sternfeld, which is in Indianapolis, Indiana, um, they tend to have four people sitting at their gate taking money, and I will volunteer to sit at the table and do whatever needs to be done to make sure that that gets done right, or to help make sure, I should say, help make sure, because I'm not the one in charge. Thank God. And make sure that that it's not just some guy isn't just sitting there all day by himself. That okay, I'm not here to do much of anything else except sit there and look cute. And I can do that sitting at the table and actually be helping at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. About the Kingdom ANS, I mean, you mentioned the change in computerization, but what other changes have you had? Because I know years ago there used to be the div system, with the different divisions, and now they've
Mm-hmm.
kind of crunched it down. So what changes have you seen?
Um, Going from the divisions, there for a while there was a bit of a when the computerization started to come in, there was a lot of resistance to the change, which happens when there's change. And um so there was some animosity going on,
Mm,
and there was it was hard to see that amongst the people working the fair, not the artisans. The artisans were great, but the actual people working the fair were kind of butting heads, and that was really hard to see.
mm,
Um, but that has now worked through, and it has helped, um, like people who have judged in the past. There's a record of things that they've judged, and they need a last minute judge, and they know that person's on site. Can they come in and judge this thing real quick?
mm.
They've got a record of that instead of just kind of, well, let's see who's standing around. He'll just grab him. He'll help us.
Yeah.
And that I think has helped a lot.
Mhm. Oh, we can't hear you, Zoph.
Do you have any thoughts about them bringing back the pentathlon?
Um,
Which for our out of kingdom viewers is 5 entries in Kingdom ANS. Go ahead.
um, it's I hadn't realized it had been not done for a while, and then the fact that it's come back, I think it's a challenge.
Mm,
I know it's hard. It's hard enough to do one project in time, which is within the course of a year, but to do 5 projects within the course of a year, wow, that's incredible. To have to do your research and actually work on the project, and make sure you have all your documentation for your research, and then to present it to the judges, and it's like, wow, to do 5 projects, that's more power to them.
Right. I thought it was 2 years. It's only 1 year.
I was under the impression it was one. It could be two.
It could be one. I have no
Yeah,
interest in doing
no,
it.
either.
So,
I'm usually just so focused on the paperwork
Mhm.
that details, someone will come and say, well, how did Joe Smith do on his brewing and vintning? I don't know. I was looking at numbers. I wasn't looking at names.
right, right.
Right, yeah, yeah. You said that you were attracted to the SCA because you love history. What's your favorite time period in history?
Oh, um, that's a good question. Um, I don't know if I have one.
Well, do you have a persona?
I do. Um, it's 14th century, um, from Alsace-Lorraine,
Mm,
which, depending on the time period, is either French or German. Um, and I chose that because my family history, one branch, is from Alsace-Lorraine.
okay.
And I didn't have any other thing come to mind, so that's what worked. And it's loosely, there's a loose, I don't know, description, I guess. Um, and I know there's a lot of people who see Francois, I pronounce it the male and not the female, which is Francoise, because the female reminds me of cold dead fish.
Okay.
I know it's nothing like that, but that it rankles. And it then became shortened to Swa, which is what most people know me by. And which is, okay. There was one gentleman in Nordskogen, which is Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, which is now in another kingdom. And he he dubbed me Frank. So up there, I was Frank. And he wasn't sure I was going to be. I'm like, no, Frank is fine. You can call me Frank. Just don't call me Frankie.
Mm,
That's a killing offense. And he goes,
okay.
okay. So yeah, it's either Frank or Swa or Francois or hey it.
So you mentioned that your family, part of your family came from Lorraine.
Mhm.
Is that, are you into genealogy or is someone else in your family?
Somebody else in the family had done a genealogy many, many years ago and had researched it back to, I couldn't even tell you the name, but he's like a five grade, six grade back to Alsace-Lorraine, which I thought was pretty cool, being kind of French, kind of German. And I had taken French in high school, and it kind of made sense to me. Um, my real last name is Nordmeyer. Well, that's German, so okay, let's let's mix them.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Hungarian. My grandfather came over, my maternal grandfather came over from Budapest to America. So I was like, yeah, I'm Hungarian, look at me. And I chose a Hungarian persona. And then my son and I did our genealogy, the DNA test. And I'm actually Russian and Slovak and Polish.
Oh wow.
And of course, my son had to inform me that when it was the Austria-Hungarian Empire, of course, they were all part of Hungary. So you're okay. And I'm like, I don't even know how that happens. He came from Budapest. How can I not be Hungarian? But it was too late. I'm not changing my persona.
No, no, no. We all know you as so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Francois, if you could go back in history to any event or any time, and like a time traveler kind of thing, hot tub time machine, okay?
Hmm.
But you're only going to stay for a couple hours. You're not going to change history. You're not going to interact. You're just going to observe, and then you just get automatically brought back.
Hmm.
Where would you go? What would you do?
Oh, I would I would like to have been around Eleanor Baquitine.
Oh, all right.
Um, she she strikes me as someone who she didn't take any crap off of anybody. Um, I mean, she had the Aquitaine, and yeah, when she got married, it kind of went to him or not, or depending on what movie you watch.
Yeah.
But she had the court of, she had the courtiers and the poetry and the chivalric, the beginning of the chivalric, and that that takes that takes a lot of respect, shall we say,
Mm.
for people to kind of come to that. Not just the men, but also the women. They were all influenced by that, and she sounds like a really cool lady to have met. So I think I would like to spend a couple hours getting to know her in person.
All right. Great choice.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, so you could take a second trip. Where would you go?
Oh, hmm. Part of me says back to somewhere in the Viking age. Um, but I'm not sure, what particular person or era of the Viking age, but it would be interesting to know a little bit more of the reality of the Norse
Mhm.
culture and not just the mythos that has been developed, thanks to Hollywood and stuff like that. It's I don't think it's quite as gory as maybe we're all led to believe by the movies,
Mm.
and I'd be curious to see just how much different it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So tell us about your dog that was featured in your headshot.
Um, Jack is he was 4 months old when I brought him home. He is a Norwegian elk hound. He is now 3 years old. Um, Norwegian elk hounds were bred and developed by the Vikings, the Scandinavians, and they were bred not to take down elk or moose or bear, but to annoy the heck out of them until the hunter could get to the prey. Um, Wolf's trying to bring him in, and the dog doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Um, he's what, 65 pounds, I think.
He's closer to about 60.
Yeah. So he's full grown, and there are days when, yeah, his breeding comes right out because he can be annoying. But he's a cute little stinker. We'll see if we can get him in the frame here. Let's see if I can. I don't know if you can see him or not.
Aw, yeah, we see him.
There you go, but oh,
Well, there's a treat.
and
He gets stage.
yeah, as since Wolf's persona is Viking, and I thought it would be nice for him to have a Norse dog. Again, yes, he had an elk hound once before, and so he kind of knew the ins and outs of elk hound um, personalities. Um, but since I was working from home when he was a puppy, I got to learn how to deal with the puppy. um, he would come into the office with me, and pretty much sleep all day. But yeah, he had a pretty good time hanging out with mom while she worked or while I worked. But right now, um, the only thing he wants from me is either food or to have his belly rubbed with bare feet.
Oh, The best things in life.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, I can't be working on a project without someone under my feet. So, which works out okay.
Oh, great.
I want to circle back to A&S. Have you ever entered A&S yourself?
Um, I did once. Oh gosh. 30 years ago, before I was, ever involved in staff or any interest in being in staff. And I I kind of came away from it with a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh,
Um, I couldn't even tell you what the project was or anything like that. I had no interest in doing it again. Um, but I'd like to see other people go and get something out of it.
yeah, yeah. Did you not like having to do the documentation? So some people are like, I just want to make the thing. I don't want to write about it.
That was part of it. Um, but some of the feedback
Mm,
was I don't want to say mean because that's not right, not quite right, but it was not really supportive, and that was not what I was looking for.
Right.
mm,
Um, there
yeah,
was, hey, um, hey, this looked good, and here's some things that maybe might improve next time. That was not what I was getting out of it, and I decided that I'd rather help behind the scenes than actually enter.
yeah. But those were the days when we didn't have face-to-face judging too,
Right,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
right. And there was no reviewing of the judging sheets,
Mm,
because some of the judges, it turned out some of the judges, when they would write out their impressions or why they gave a score, they were pretty mean.
mm,
Um, and after a while, the staff and the fair coordinator realized, we really need to pre-read these before we hand them to the artisans
yeah.
so they don't get hit with this really nasty stuff. We've got to, go back to the judges and say, can you tone it down a little bit?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Be more supportive in this area, and here's why. Um, which I think was the right thing to do, because if I got a really nasty feedback from a judge, yeah, that'd be the last time, and that's not what the fair should do.
Right.
Right.
The fair's there to support people.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Jalicia, did you have any further questions?
Well, I'm curious about you living in four different groups, and I just wondered, um, was there something from one group that you thought was really wonderful that they did that you would like to see other groups do?
Um, I like I like being in the Barony of Ravenstar. Um, there are no factions.
Mm,
There's no cliques, so that there's no infighting, and that's purposely done. And it was Moon was the Baron for however many years, and that was his main goal, was we are not going to be divided by us versus them. Everybody gets along, and if you can't get along, we're going to have a talk. And that I think, um, is what every group should really be working towards. That
mm,
instead of being butting heads. Well, if you want to get something done, you don't have to like the person. You just have to be able to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
And people are kind of forgetting that. And that's not a way to the way for a group to work.
Right.
Okay.
And the reason I was in 4 different groups was mostly for work.
Mm-hmm.
Starting out in Sternfeld, moved up to Fort Wayne long before they were a barony. Moved up to Minnesota, moved to Columbus, Ohio, and then moved back to Sternfeld before I moved up here to Lafayette. So I've had a lot of experiences. The worst group I was with, I should say, I was uncomfortable with the Columbus, Ohio group.
Mm.
And it kind of felt like they didn't really try to get to know me. I didn't have, an award or a title. I didn't have a coronet. So that they didn't make the effort to get to know me. I was nobody.
Mm.
And that kind of put me off.
Mm-hmm.
So I hung out with other groups that were much more welcoming. And it, no offense to Columbus, Ohio. But that was the impression I was getting, and that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Whether it was intended or not.
Yeah. And that comes from the cliques. When you're in a clique, in a group, you're less likely to welcome newcomers because you already have your people.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last question.
Okay.
What can the SCA do better?
What can we do better? Be more inclusive. It looked like there for a while we were moving towards being more open and inclusive, and then suddenly it shut back down. And I realize some of it is outside politics, and trying to think of the right word. Bigotry, basically. And nobody should feel excluded. I don't have to understand everybody around me or their beliefs or their gender or whatever. I don't have to understand it to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's someone who came to Ribenstar and gave us a talk about inclusivity. I'm not sure that's the right word,
Yeah, it is.
but of how to work with people. And yeah, there should be more talks like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get together. Is there something that anybody would like to talk about, and kind of get it out there of, what is it, like if there's something I don't understand or I'm doing wrong, please let me know so I can work on it. I try to be open, I try to be understanding, but I know that there are clues that I totally miss. And that is something that I know I need to work on, is just being, everything just going um, so everybody, we all, everybody needs to just look around and be accepting of everybody else.
Mhm.
Or if not, or at least be tolerance, not the word. Open. Just be open. New experiences, new people and their experiences, their viewpoints. Where they why okay, they have that persona. Why did they choose that persona? Why did they, where did they come from? Even in real life, other than, outside the SC. Who are they as people?
Mhm.
And I think that's something that we're totally missing, especially in trying to draw new people. This group is, SCA is 60 years old now, somewhere in there. And we're kind of hitting a midlife crisis, shall we say, where new ideas are, well, we didn't do that in our day.
Mm-hmm.
No, we have to be more open-minded than that if we want to get new blood and keep them interested.
Sorry.
There's a co-host.
Yep, I saw that. I half expected one of ours to do that too. But yeah, we just, even if it's just sitting around and, we're talking about pets. We talk about our pets, and eventually that conversation's going to go, off on a different, interesting tangent, and that's just not really happening. I'm hearing back from a lot of people that they're either being turned away or no one's talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
They go to an event and no one talks to them, or they go to a meeting. And when you're in a group for, how long have I been in? For 50 some years, 40 and change. Yeah, there are habits I know I have that might turn someone off because I've been in the group so long. I just know.
Mm-hmm.
But to communicate that information to somebody else, I don't always know or realize what they don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
That maybe, they're afraid to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be more open to, is there anything that you'd like to see? Anything, that I can show you or introduce you to who might be able to answer any questions you have.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Sure. No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Great to get to know you.
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right. This is Simply SCAdian, no title required, and we've been talking with Francoise Katze, and we will be back in 2 weeks.